If you're wondering if Denver is still worth considering in 2025 because of this, and this, you're not alone. A lot of people are reconsidering Denver, but in this video we're going to give you the 9 reasons Denver is actually slated to become one of the top relocation destinations for this year. But first, that's better. Now, let's get started. Guys, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, thank you for joining me on Everything Denver, where we talk all things Denver real estate, the best neighborhoods, the best cities and suburbs all around Denver. And I do this for people that are thinking about relocating here. So if you are one of those people that's thinking of making a move to Denver, I'd be honored to help you out on your journey here and get you set up for success. Call, text, or email. I got your back on all things Denver real estate. So 9 reasons that Denver is kind of, I would say, almost making a comeback in the relocation market. We've had like 12 years of straight growth here in the Denver metro area, and we've had a lot of people moving in from places all over the country, primarily places like California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, places on the West Coast, and then also places on the Northeast, like New York, Boston, and even Chicago. We see a lot of people relocating here for. And in 2022, we kind of saw our first retraction as far as people leaving the state versus staying. We actually had more people move out than move in. A lot of those people moved to the Southeast. And for some of the reasons that you saw earlier in this video, a lot of them were locals that had been here their whole life and decided it was time for a change of pace, wanted a different political atmosphere, wanted a different climate, but we are posed to see a lot of people moving into the Denver metro area and Colorado as a whole. Right now we are sitting about 3.5 million people, residents of Colorado, that currently live here, and we're expected to see anywhere from 45 to 52,000 people relocate to the state in 2025. Okay, and the first reason people are moving here is for the thriving job market. So Denver has gotten a lot of recognition over the last few years as a lot of larger companies have explored moving some of their hubs here, explored putting factories or warehouses here, or a lot of people in the tech industry also move here. So not only do we see a growing job market, but we see a very diverse job market, which is nice because it kind of insulates us from pullbacks in the economy or things that lead to recessions. Sometimes when one sector of the economy is failing or pulling back, like energy or maybe the tech industry, usually some of the other industries kind of pick up the slack, whether it's the financial sector or the healthcare sector or one of the others. We have a very diverse economy here, which makes it very nice and very kind of recession-proof in a sense. I kind of liken Denver to like the S&P 500 of cities. We got a little bit of everything. Our number one employer here is the federal government, so that kind of lends itself to being a fairly stable employer. Say what you will about taxes and how the government's run, but generally, if you're in one of these government jobs, your paycheck is pretty secure, so Denver's job market is actually expected to grow another 35 to 40,000 jobs over the next year. A lot of these in the tech industry, but I'll tell you what Colorado really needs is a lot of skilled tradesmen or craftsmen to build a lot of the homes that we're lacking right now. Reason number 2 people are moving here is the outdoor recreation and outdoor lifestyle opportunities. So Denver has over 300 days of sunshine. We'll get into the climate and what it's like to live here a little bit later, but there are a ton of outdoor things to do here. We have just about everything except beaches and the ocean. A ton of outdoor activities as far as hiking, biking, skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing in the winter, all your mountain activities, but you also have things like that to do all around the Denver metro area. You got tons of parks, trails, whether that's natural or paved. So a lot of people, when they move here, they're looking for a more active lifestyle, and definitely in Denver and the surrounding areas definitely lend itself to making that very easy. Reason number 3 people are moving here is for the entertainment and cultural options that Denver does have available. So we have a very large sports scene, as I mentioned earlier, Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, all your major sports teams. We even have the Rockies, who or lovable losers, but it's a fun thing to do on a summer night. But we also have a ton of other artistic things to do, cultural things to do. We got the Red Rocks Amphitheater. It's a beautiful natural setting out into the foothills where you're surrounded by these red rock formations. A lot of famous bands have played there, but it's a little bit more of an intimate setting for our larger concerts. If we have one of the A-listers coming to town, we have Empower Field that's right here in the Denver metro area, as well as Ball Arena. So we have plenty of different venues for big events, small events, and we have a lot of diversity of things to do culturally. And reason number 4 people are moving here is for the real estate market.
Are you nuts?
Now you may say you're off your rocker. Denver prices are outrageous. Well, compared to some of the parts of the country where we see a lot of our relocation clients come from, Denver is an absolute value.
Go on.
Places like San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Chicago, Boston, and New York, where you're paying $800,000, $900,000 for a studio condo, or maybe a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom condo in tight living quarters. When you come out and you can see what $700,000 or $800,000 can buy you in the metro area, especially if you know where to look in one of these suburbs, you can get a killer home for the same price as you're getting a shoebox in some of these other places, or a complete fixer-upper in some of these other places. So while Denver housing prices have gone up a lot, there is still a ton of value to be had here, especially when you compare it to some of the more inflated markets across the U.S. And reason number 5 people are moving here is for the educational opportunities and a place to raise a family. So Denver has its own universities that are very highly rated, including CU, which is up in Boulder. We also have Denver University, which is a very prestigious law school, kind of not spoken about a lot in the national media or across the country, but DU has a very, very solid law program. Also has one of the best college hockey teams in the entire U.S. Shout out to the Pioneers.
Stay focused.
Yeah, stay focused.
But it is a great place to raise a family. Now, a lot of people that move here, I want to make sure this is clear, actually don't move into Denver for, the family-friendly atmosphere. While there are some neighborhoods that are very good for families, a lot of people end up choosing to move out into the suburb areas, places like Highlands Ranch or Centennial or Littleton or even Castle Rock or Parker are much more family-friendly and easy to commute around and have a lot of things for families to do versus like the city of Denver and that inner city kind of urban downtown area that appeals a little bit more to young professionals or single living or young married folks. The suburbs really do attract a lot of the families because of all the family atmosphere, the local things to do in these communities, the parks, the recreation centers, all of those things are a big draw for families, and it's a big reason a lot of families end up relocating here. And reason number 6 is because of the climate here. We have a very, very nice climate here in the Denver metro area. We get to experience all 4 seasons. We get to experience not only snow in the winter, but 90, 95 degree days in the summer. So we get kind of both ends of the extreme, but we don't get the extremes like you see in Arizona where it's 112 degrees and you got heat warnings where you have to stay inside or shelter in place. And we also don't get the enormous freezes that happen in some of the Midwest or the North, or we don't get the ice storms that seem to happen across the plains of Nebraska and Kansas. It's really nice here. We do have over 300 days of sunshine locally, and our average temperature year-round is probably around 50 degrees, but that incorporates in the winter like it is now where it's about 30 degrees outside, 25 is going to be the high today, and it's snowing. versus the summer when it's 85 and 90 degrees in the middle of July or middle of August when we're in the dog days of summer. But so much of the year is very pleasant. I would say the only negative to Denver weather is kind of our spring. We do get winter that shows up right around January, and it stays a little bit longer than anybody likes. And 50 degrees in December and 50 degrees in April are two very, very different things. We have a very dry climate here, so if it's 50 in December and the sun is shining, it's going to feel warm, t-shirt, even maybe shorts weather. But if you go out and it's 48 degrees in April and it's kind of rainy and it's just overcast and cloudy, it's going to feel like it's about 30 degrees out there. So our springtime is probably my least favorite season overall when it comes to Denver weather, but it's really nice to experience all 4 seasons and really not have a ton of extreme weather to deal with. We do have hailstorms in the summer, and in the high country we do have to deal with forest fires and the danger of that, but by and large in Denver you don't get a lot of the other extreme weather that you see across the US. Okay, number 7, and this one is kind of unique to Denver and its location within the U.S., and that is the transportation and accessibility to the rest of the country. So Denver, kind of centrally located between the East Coast and the West Coast. You're only a 2.5 hour flight to most of the cities out there, Portland, San Diego, Los Angeles, and you're only maybe a 3-hour flight to the East Coast to places like Washington, D.C., or getting down to the panhandle of Florida. You can get there in 3.5 hours. So it's a very nice, centrally located across the U.S. So if you do have to travel a lot for work, it makes it a great option where you can get to both ends of the country fairly easily since you're in the center. Now, as far as transportation and accessibility go within Colorado, Colorado is very car dependent. I would recommend you have a vehicle when you do move here. We do have a public transportation system. They're okay. It's nothing exciting or nothing, robust. And I would say the light rail system and the bus system, it's just mediocre at best. Okay, if you have to use it, you can get around. It's definitely better the more interior parts of Denver. Public transportation, not great. It's okay. Definitely want to have a vehicle when you move here. And reason number 8 people are moving here is for the cost of living. Now, Denver's housing prices have become a lot more expensive than a lot of the country, but most of our other things seem to be fairly in line. Some things might be a little bit more expensive, some things might be a little bit cheaper, but our wages here in Colorado are above the national average. So average income for a single earner here in the Denver metro area is right around $84,000. That'll probably go up maybe 2 to 3% with cost of living and things like that over the next year. But a lot of our neighborhoods are going to warrant, that you make that much to live there. There are deals to be had here, and if you can, move here and you get the cost of living increase that your job offers when you make the relocation to a more expensive city, I'd say it's definitely worth it, and you do have a lot of options for good housing that don't have to be technically right in the city of Denver where you're paying for the name. And if you're willing to move out to some of the suburbs, you can get a really good value for your money. And reason number 9 that people choose to live here is Denver's just really a cool place to live, to be honest. There's a lot of things to do, a lot of outdoor activities, but it's a live and let live type of place. There's not as many crazy things happening here as there is in a place like California, and while our government is kind of trending towards the way of California, it's not like that all over the state. Some people think, oh, if you move to Denver, you might as well live in Los Angeles. It's going to be the same political atmosphere. And while you're in the heart of Denver, it is going to be very blue and more of a liberal vibe in the inner city of Denver and some of the districts right around it. As you move out from that, it gets definitely more blended, a lot of mix, Republican and Democrat, and then as you move out further from that into the more rural areas, it's definitely more Republican, and a lot of our places kind of on the outskirts of Denver definitely have a more right-leaning tilt. So a lot of people looking to leave some of those areas of like San Francisco or Los Angeles find that this is a good balance for them as they move out of those areas. And guys, if you're thinking of a move here, I help lots of relocation clients that are moving from different parts of the country, whether that is California, Chicago, New York, or any place else in the United States. I would love to be your resource and help you get set up for success on your move to Denver. So make sure you hit me up, call, text, or email. Email is usually the best way to get a hold of me, and we'll make sure we find the perfect neighborhood and home for you when you make the move to Denver. So until next time, like and subscribe.